Okay, so thank you everyone. Welcome to the session of leveling up your Grafana skills. My name is Usman Ahmad. I work as a developer advocate at Grafana. And in my previous role, I work mostly with the technical support side for cloud customers or on-prem. And beside work, a little about me. So I live in Germany. I have a small family. And when I'm free, I also try to start my own YouTube channel, creating blogs. Still very fresh, very long journey for me, but there's always a start from some place. So yeah, today we'll talk about a little bit what I do with the OSS community. So as a DevRel, I work very closely with the users who are using Grafana in the community. That means I engage with them on Slack, GitHub, and also on our community forum, which is really getting a lot of good traffic. And also when there are issues or problems, I try to help them and also try to talk with the developers and listen and understand both sides and try to make user experience, user journey or experience better. Oops. So today we have a very interesting use case, basically, which we use also inside Grafana. And we're going to learn how you can also use Grafana easily and create some fancy dashboards. And it's not going to talk deep dive on, for example, how to use in, for example, fancy techniques like Prometheus or Kubernetes. It's just very normal, very refreshing. So yeah. So this is a screenshot of our community forum website. You don't need to really understand a lot on this. This is just a screenshot. And this community forum is we are using Discourse, is hosted on Discourse Cloud. And we have a lot of categories here. For example, a huge category for Grafana with a lot of subcategories, but also low-key, Flare, Tempo, and so on. And we get a lot of very good traffic from users who are using our product and help them, which is all good. But there is a big question like, how do we monitor our community performance? For example, if I'm trying to help them, is my energy and my time is helping them, making an impact? Or is it just like I'm spending a lot of time and it does not help them as it should be? So for that, we use the Data Explorer plugin, which is provided by Discourse. Basically, it's a very simple plugin which uses the SQL-style queries, and you can use it by API. And what it looks like, I can, for example, this is an example, how to get the top 20 posts in the previous quarter with using select from where with some filters. And this is the result we get in JSON. So this is good. This is all nice that I can get some metrics here. But imagine like if you are running a community for your product or something, and you have a lot of users, and you need to get data, for example, top 20 posts in the previous quarter, or top, or in each category, or you want to make a comparison. So this JSON will not be enough because you will be it will not help you. So how to make it more usable? So this is how we do it, Grafana. So this is how we are monitoring. As you can see, it makes more sense. It has everything. For example, it gives you the metrics. It gives you the status of what is solved, what is unsolved, for example, number of posts which we see like, okay, we have responded in this category and so on. And this is how you can also build in your product or organization whatever suits for your style, and how to do it. So basically, yeah, you need first thing is Grafana for sure, and it is available in multiple versions, OSS and Enterprise. And it's, if someone is, by the way, how many of you have used Grafana before? Just curious. Okay, good. So I don't need to deep dive on like what kind of visualization it can provide. So, but as example, time series, bar chart, and so on. And the cool thing about Grafana is that you don't need to really, like for your application, don't need to copy paste your, and configure the database. You just need to connect it via data source, and that's it. It will start showing you the visualizations. And the second thing we use is the Infinity plugin. So Infinity plugin is basically a free plugin, and it supports various formats, for example, JSON, CSV, GraphQL as well, XML and so on. It has a big list I can't even remember myself. And it supports some of the Grafana default features, for example, alerting, authentication, public dashboard as well. And how is it going to work? So that's a good question. And this is like a flow looks like. So on the left, we have Grafana and Infinity. And you send a post request wrapped in JSON with the Discourse API token. And it goes to the Discourse cloud, where our community form is hosted. And we are saying like, hey, can you give us a result using the Explorer plugin for query number 7? And what it does is that it talks to the Discourse backend, which is Postgres. And if all is fine, then the response will be, again, in JSON. And it goes to the Infinity. Infinity read that JSON. And Grafana will display it in a panel visualization. So the next step is configuring the data source. It's very easy. It's a two-step process. So all you need to install is first the Infinity plugin using the Grafana plugin catalog. And second is configure the Discourse API key. In your case, you may have a little bit difference, but this is all you need. And again, yeah, so I have this demo video. So for that, here. Yeah, so how to install the plugin. So you go in administration, you click on plugins, and you find for Infinity. And there you will select all because it is not available by default. You select it, install it, may take a minute or so, or maybe less. And once it is installed, you will get a notification, and in the data source, you will find it, and you can then here define all you need for example, your authentication or API keys and so on. So the next step is to creating a dashboard panel. So for that, okay, seems like it broke. Okay, good. So this is the flow which we're gonna follow, and basically we have done the first two steps, and now the third step will be like we will define a query using our Discourse plugin, and then we will apply some example transformation, for example, and we will use the table panel visualization to view all the results. So to set up a query panel, I think I can play here. Is it good enough for full screen? Okay. So you go on dashboard, you create a new dashboard, okay? And you have to add first a visualization. And there you find the Infinity plugin. And yeah, this is the like a step. I wanted to demo this in video because I don't know how many of you using Grafana 10, if you can raise your hand, the current version. So a lot of has changed in the recent version, so that's why I put this demo. And yeah, now once you have selected the Infinity data source, then you are inside your panel editor, which is indicated as 1. And now you have to go to the query editor, which is indicated 2. And here, in our use case, we want to query the JSON data type from the backend and using the post method, and that's our URL. And as soon as it is all valid, you will start to see some results in the table panel. It's table panel actually we are using in the number 3. And here you can see, okay, we have initially some ID, then there is some text, for example, something about database. There's some more information, and at the very end, there is something called solved, unsolved. I wanted to explain this solved, unsolved a little bit more because this is what we're going to use later on. So this is a custom field which we are taking from our database, which obviously makes sense to indicate which posts are solved and unsolved. But as an example, we will use it later on. So next step is to use transformation. So Grafana provides a lot of tools built in, and one of them is transformation. Transformation basically means that if I want to filter my data or look my data in a different way, I can apply transformation. And there are many types of transformation. Today, one example is used to extract field. And I just want to go one step back. So right now, this information which we have is in JSON, but it is all wrapped up. It is not useful to even understand and read it. It doesn't make sense, right? So how to make it useful? So let's apply this extract field transformation. So I click on transformation and type extract. It will start to pop up. Yeah. And I select then the source, which is A right now. The query actually is A. And then I select the format as JSON, which is it is. And then once I click replace all field, now each field is separated, right? And it has started to make sense. It looks more readable. And yeah. I will come to this slide a bit later because I have missed one slide, which is OK. But just to want to give you an overview, like after applying the previous transformation, how the view looks like. So it looks more readable. Every field is categorized like a typical SQL style, like you have each column. And second transformation is using organized field. So in the previous one, we got the results, but field names are like 0, 1, 2, and it doesn't make sense. So with using organized field which is what a transformation is, we can rename the field as 0 means topic ID, 1 is that, and blah, blah, so on. And for example, you can also disable anything if you want to. For example, in some cases, if you are querying something, you don't need all the data. So you can hide it because it is not useful. So it's really small but powerful feature. Panel configuration. So we have done this green box, which is marks as checked. Now we will come to the panel configuration. So this is where things get a bit more interesting to understand a bit more deep how the panel configuration works. So Grafana comes with default panels, but each panel has its own configuration. There are, for example, written here like value mapping, data links, cell config. These are all available, but focus on the cell config. It is in green, and this is because the table panel visualization allows, it is only available if I use the table panel visualization. If I, for example, use time series, I will have something else, but not cell config. And we're going to take a look how we can use each of them. And there's also one field called override. So override in very short means that, for example, if I have some data and I want to only change that column or that field while the rest remains same, I can use simply override. Because with transformation, I will change everything. So this is really, again, useful, and there is a small demo. So first thing is we're using the cell type, change the cell type for the field status, which is, again, solved, unsolved, using override. So for that, I'm again in my panel editor mode. I click Add Field Override at the bottom, right? And I select field with name as status. Yeah. And then I have to add override property. So what I want to do, so I want to change the cell type. Right now it's all blank, but if I change colored background, okay, so it will appear something like this. And this is starting to make sense and make more visual impact for easy to read and start to show, okay, yeah, I can use it. So that's one example of override. Another is called data links. And data links means that if you have something which you can use to link your data, you can use this function. And what here we're going to do is that we have a field called topic ID, right? And it's actually links to our community post. And there's like, the URL is same, like communitygrafana.com with some slashes, yeah, and then to the ID. With this, if I use data link for this field name using override, I will get this. So each post is linkable. Instead of typing it manually, you can simply view it by clicking it here. And this is very, I would say, very much helpful when, for example, in your use cases, if you're using a community form or something similar. Third is value mapping. For value mapping, we are not using override because we don't need to, although we can. But I want to show this as an example as using the standard option from the panel configuration. And to use value mapping, you click on the add value mapping. And then you have to define the values, which is like the condition and how you want to display. So basically, the condition will be for anything which is unsolved, display the text as unsolved. You can change it, for example, not solved or need attention, whatever, and put our color coding as red. By doing that, you can see that now it is more observable, looks more better, looks more readable, and this is very small but very handy feature again. And yeah. Last but not least, there's a small part known as creating dashboard variables, which is really powerful and used a lot. So Grafana offers a variety of dashboard variables in different formats. For example, some are here named. Custom is very popular, also data sources. But we're going to take a look about query variables. And to do that, you have to be in your dashboard, indicated as 1, and you click on dashboard settings, okay? There you have to go into the variables and then select a variable type from the drop-down list. You can select, in this case, as query, but it depends. If you have a different case, you can select another data source or custom and so on. And then you have to define a variable name. This name must be unique. If in case it is not, so Grafana UI will tell you like, okay, this is already in use something else, okay? But this is important to remember that we name this as category. And then using a label, how we want to display it in the dashboard. And the last but not least, define your query. And we use, again, some query to view it. So basically, once all done, in your dashboard, you will see a new drop-down list which says category. And I can now see all the categories of the community form by using this. So far, this is good, but there's a small catch. So yeah, it is there, but it doesn't do anything. It's useless. If I select something else, the panel does not get updated. And to that, we have to use called templating. So templating means like I have to use as a parameter in my query and define it in the editor of the plugin and use that variable as a value, okay? It could be a little bit different for your use case, but in this code, this is how it is defined. And once you click apply, it may take maybe 5 seconds or so to refresh because it's the default time set. And if I select something else, I will start to view dashboard for other subcategories or whole categories. And this is really powerful. Now imagine like how many you have categories in your community forum or any similar sort of application. You only need this one step. You don't need to replicate it, and you save a lot of time. And you can use not just table panel. You can use other panel visualization, for example, pie chart, bar chart, stats, or etc. There's no limitation, basically. Yeah? And this is what we want you to design as well, that a dashboard which you can build from scratch, use it for your own purpose, for your application, and there is, yeah, it's very easy. It's just need to know like what things you need to use only in Grafana. And last but not least, if you want to get involved, we will be happy to receive any bug reports, feature requests, and yeah, issues. So you can use the GitHub repo. Also, there are some other useful resources, for example, Grafana Slack, and the community forum, which is very active, getting a lot of traffic, many good contributors as well. And yeah, you can scan this QR code because there is also a lot of links for the documentation, which I cannot paste here, but it's all available here. And yeah, thank you. Any questions?
I have one question. Is it possible to define like an alert based on something on the dashboard, or would you have to set that up as a different metric? Like say you wanted to alert based on the ratio of solved to unsolved that goes less than 50% in the last 24 hours or something like that. Is that something that you can do from within like the Infinity plugin, or is that you have to probably set up something different like meters or?
So you can use Infinity plugin to create alerts if this is your question for alerts, right?
No, kind of more thinking like as a business user, you have this dashboard and you don't even know what Meters is, kind of, you know. Can you pick something on that dashboard and then actually say, oh, I'd love to like have an alert on that in Alert Manager?
Yeah, that is possible. So this Infinity plugin does support some of the Grafana features, which is alerting one of them. One thing is that because in this specific case, it's a non-time series data. But alerting, I have recently an issue which I talked to the team, and they say, yeah, it is available in both time series and non-time series, and this plugin can do that. So it is possible.
And do you know if that's similar for the BigQuery plugin?
I'm not really sure on that plugin, but yeah, we can talk a bit later on that. Yeah. Any other questions?
When you are looking in a data source as an API, are you able to control the throttling of how often it queries that API?
By default, Discourse Cloud, the one which we are using, it has some rate limit, and it is by them set by default. I think something after you do like 3 or 4 refresh, there might be, but in this case, it is not because we are directly using their API. We have in the past, this project is come from the past because in the past we used to create a Discourse plugin, our own Discourse plugin built by Grafana, but it has the rate limit issue. In this case, we have tested it, and so far we haven't reached any rate limit issues so far. There might be if we refresh a lot, but in normal circumstances, even using within the teams, not any issues. Yeah. Any other questions?
Just a quick follow-on.
Yeah.
The data model you're using in the background, are you storing that data once it arrives in Grafana?
No, Grafana does not store any data. It uses the data source, which is, for example, in this case, Infinity plugin, and Grafana just display it. Storing is not really the purpose of Grafana. It's more like that you can view the metrics or maybe, for example, your database stuff in a visualization panel. Yeah, there is obviously some caching involved, but I do not have much knowledge like how the backend somewhere store this cache results. But there is definitely involved that process. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, then thank you. You can contact me on my email address or on LinkedIn. Even if you scan this QR code, you can find me as well. Thank you.